Alright, so I just got back from a very hectic trip in Japan, and as the title already suggests off this video, there's been a lot of stuff in this trip that did not go the way I wanted it to go initially, right? So if you guys watched my last video, I was supposed to actually make a bunch of content in Japan, but in this video I'm going to tell you the story about how everything completely went wrong and how this trip going completely the wrong way actually ended up being exactly what we needed for this company. Again, I go to Osaka and Tokyo, Japan, thinking that this was going to be like the creme de la creme. Like, we worked for this specific moment in time so hard, and we were preparing everything, and it seemed to like all be perfectly aligned to give the company the boost that it needed, because it just took a vital hit. Okay, this company, my Korean company, took a vital hit. We got involved into some problems which are not the end of the world, but they needed to be solved. And this trip was going to do that for us. It was going to create the team bonding that we needed. We were going to have the most insane clips. We were going to have like 5 different cameras with us, a drone, like everything that you could imagine to make like cinematic top level content and, you know, boost this company up to do record months. Like, the newer people watching, this Korean company made its first $1 million last year. It's been my biggest year so far. You watching right now probably even look at like why this Dutch guy is even involved into a Korean company. That's a story for a different time. But this trip was supposed to be the moment of revenge, the moment where we were gonna crush and go over our previous record months. But that ended up completely not being the case. And again, everything went wrong. But in the end, that was supposed to happen, and that was exactly what we needed. So let me take you guys through it. First day, I'm already in Japan a little bit earlier, right? I was preparing, I was learning the Osaka streets so that I know when the creators are coming, when my Korean business partners are coming, I can just lead the way, know exactly where to go, get the shots, boom, next shot, so we can really like get on a high pace rolling, right? And these first days in Japan before the Koreans came was perfect. You know, I was exploring the city. We were even exploring the nightlife, checking the party scene. Anybody that's been to Osaka, you know the nightlife of Osaka is absolutely crazy. So I was having a great fucking time there, right? But as the Koreans come by and as it's time to, you know, get into work mode and get this thing rolling, the first major hit happened. My Korean business partner, who has prepared, spent more than $4,000 into camera equipment, drones, everything, was denied on the airport. I know that sounds crazy. How can you get denied at the airport? His passport got blocked by the government because, again, we're in a trouble in Korea, and not in a serious trouble where we did anything wrong. But when you make a lot of money, and people will know this, if you make a lot of money in a fast time, especially in a country as Korea, which, you know, is strictly involved into like, there's a specific system for students and for young people to follow into, and, you know, making $1 million at the age of 23, my business partner is 21, is not necessarily inside of the traditional path. And you would think that a government would be really happy with that, but it's not like the US, like America, where, you know, individualism is very steadily promoted, very heavily promoted. Matter of fact, these Asian countries are much more reliant on a systematic hierarchy, which is based on age. Now think about how stupid that is. A hierarchy based on age, right? In Korea, there's like specific respect words for people that are older than you, and it gets passed down the timeline. So as a young person making a lot of money, like, they literally do not want that to happen, which is crazy. But again, he got denied at the airport. His passport got blocked, saying, yo, you can't leave the country right now because we first need to solve these things with you. Now, that doesn't happen out of nowhere. You don't get that for no reason. And again, this was the first major hit. We're all shaking our head. We're going with like 6 Koreans, me, and then him. He was supposed to come as well. And everybody is like shocked, like, what the hell? You know, why is this happening? Why are we being blocked so much on this first trip? So the first day, the Koreans aren't even in Japan yet, and everybody's already like panicking. Okay, so I need to flip the switch in this moment, because that's my business partner that's now not allowed to leave the country, and he was doing like 50% of the work, very important work that I necessarily hadn't put my mind into, because, you know, I'm doing a different side of the work. So we have front end, back end, right? He does the front end, I do the back end. That's how our company is structured together, and that's also the reason why I can't even run a Korean company, because I can't speak Korean myself. So I have to make a switch right now. I have to realize, like, okay, what the fuck? I need to now take his responsibility on me. I can't let this trip go to waste. I cannot, you know, let this momentum that we build up for the go to waste just because, you know, he can't enter the country or he can't leave Korea. So I need to make a switch right there. And again, this is one of the major things that I learned. This is something that every entrepreneur knows. You need to be able to act in the moment, and you need to always be able to go back to the trenches and adapt. Adapt, adapt, adapt. Entrepreneurship is nothing more than just adaptation, right? Because what makes you money today is not going to make you money in 2-3 months. You need to constantly switch it up. Even if you have a company with a long vision, you still need to consistently adapt. Because if you have a great company idea, there's probably competitors, there's probably this, customer support, blah, blah, blah. You need to constantly adapt, make changes, and be fast. So that's what I did, right? That's how I'm thinking. Okay, boom. He can't join. Okay, fuck. That's fucked up, but I'm gonna have to make the switch. So I started planning everything out. I started taking this front end responsibility on me, and this is where the first magic trick happened. Okay, if you run a business with a business partner, I suggest you to take some advice from this. Switch the roles every now and then, because that's what we had to do. We were forced to switch the roles. My business partner, who was stuck in Korea, went to the back end, and I had to go to the front end. Now, when we did this, just in the first 48 hours after this happening, I found out so many big flaws, so many problems, so many things that weren't structured properly, and the same thing happened on the back end, which again, this is the most unlucky situation that we could be in. This is a trip that we worked through for months, and it ended up in the first 48 hours punching me into the face, realizing a couple of very big mistakes that we're fixing right now that are going to pay off from the moment that we uncovered them. So that's just one little tip right there. If you're working with a business partner, switch roles. Okay, if your company gets to the point where you guys are in top positions, switch roles. Be able to receive feedback from the other party, because it's a blessing in disguise that this happened. Now, I wish this was the end of the story, but this is literally just the beginning. Like, we kicked the story off with a great problem, but it only gets worse from here, okay? So, Koreans come, I'm there, I don't speak any word Korean. Luckily, they speak a little bit of English, but the communication is like minimal, alright? Again, like I have to like chat GPT my way through. Anyways, I get into it, we start like finding out how I can communicate with them with, a lot of hand gestures and whatever not. And the second problem occurs, which is that I realized that most of the people on that trip were not properly prepared. Okay, and this is something that was, again, the responsibility of my business partners. When you go travel with creators, if you're a creator yourself, you need to prepare your content. Content is not something that you just do on the fly, you just make it in the moment, and even though you can do that with content, the reality is you're not going to get the best content piece out if you don't follow a structured plan. This YouTube channel has a structured plan. I'm making videos, I'm taking you guys through my story with the structure. Of course, I'm also leaning off the structure every now and then, so should you. But they didn't have a single plan. They had nothing. They just came there, blank mind. And this was the second problem, because now I have 6 creators that I need to, divide my attention over, figure out what to do with each creator, and help them get the most out of the trip, because everybody spends a lot of money on this, right? Everybody spends and invests a lot of attention and money and time into this trip. So how do we deal with that, right? Now at this point, I'm definitely sleeping only like 4 hours a night, right? Because all this shit happens. I can't even sleep if I wanted to, because I'm so like obsessed with all the shit that needs to happen. So I start working all these pieces out in the moment, just adapt, don't think, just go, right? So I start adapting all of this. We start making content piece by piece, and it's starting to look pretty damn decent, okay? Like again, we got some cameras with us. I got a nice camera. Creators got nice cameras. So we're getting the first content pieces out, and we have to now adapt into this vaguely new plan that I made to, get the best stuff out. So we start doing that, and over the day, I'm getting less and less and less sleep. Like again, I'm talking 3-4 hours of sleep a night, which normally I sleep like 8 hours a night. So I get very fucking tired. I push myself to the limit, and if you're not sleeping the optimal and your life is not an optimal rhythm, like it's not very good for the way that you feel. And this was the third problem that I encountered. This is like a personal problem. Is like I just felt fucked up. Like after day 4 or 5, I started feeling really fucked up. I didn't really enjoy it, but this trip was supposed to be a nice, easygoing, no stress. We record, we go from spot to spot, and we don't feel that much pain type of trip. But it turned into a very emotional, in the moment, almost like primal state of mind where I just had to put in the work and I had to go through this pain. And this is, again, another blessing in disguise. We all know that growth is only achieved when you feel a lot of pain. When there's no pain, just like with training your muscles, when there's no pain, it means you're essentially not growing. And I haven't felt this type of pain for a very long time, not gonna lie. Like, emotionally, just going through it, you're tired, you have to record all this content, shit's not going your way, business is not necessarily going your way. So you're going through this whole emotional roller coaster of what the fuck do I do? What am I doing with my life? Even though I'm in Japan. Even though this is the time where like I enjoyed it too, like don't get me wrong, we explored the nightlife, we did all the fun stuff, but at the end of the night, when I was in my room alone, I felt fucked. I felt fucked up. And that was the third blessing in disguise. That wasn't supposed to happen. It was supposed to be a chill trip. It was supposed to be a trip where I wouldn't feel any of these emotions. I was just, go with the flow, but didn't end up going that way. And again, I come out of that. I'm in Bali right now, as you guys can see. Beautiful fucking view. And I come out of that trip so much stronger again. Stronger emotionally, discipline-wise. So I'm speedrunning you guys through the trip, by the way. But essentially, after all this shit happened, there's a bunch of more stuff that happened. I'm not gonna go into the small details. We get onto the final bummer of this trip. The final thing that, like, you would think that after going through all this pain, all this shit, like, again, I'm talking 4 hours of sleep, 12-hour filming days. We're just out there filming. It's cold. I'm sweaty, but it's cold. I'm getting sick and shit off a little amount of sleep that I had. Still recording these clips. One day before we leave, you wouldn't even think that this is possible. But the creator with most content, he recorded most content, this was like the most important creator, forgets his SD card in the train. He forgets his SD card with all this footage that we just recorded in the train. Like, just visualize, be in my shoes for a second, okay? You might look at home thinking like, yeah, I shouldn't complain. Like, you're living the dream, right? Think about this, like, a whole week, you're getting like 4 hours of sleep a day. You're working 12 hours a day. You're trying to do everything that you can. You spend thousands on thousands of dollars in this trip to get the ROI out. And this creator, an external, like, this wasn't me, this wasn't even my fault. A creator loses the SD card with everything in there. Bro, if I tell you that just like, that almost broke me. And it broke the creator too. Like, he was so sad, bro. But again, the only thing that I can do at that point in time, I can't break. I can't show that it's like too big of a deal, even though I was fucked, bro. Like, I was sad, pissed, whatever. I stand there, straight poker face. I'm like, bro, we got one more day. We got one more day, And that's what you need to do as a leader. Like, if you're leading this whole operation, if you're a founder yourself, you can't fold in that moment. You just gotta, like, go with the flow. Everybody was devastated. It was a lot of content on that clip. I'm like, guys, we got one more day. So even though everything went wrong, we went back next day. They got the clips. They got what they needed for the footage. And we still ramped out some amazing videos on this trip where everything went wrong. And the reason I'm making this video, beyond telling the story, is to give you the conclusion of this all. Which is that sometimes in life, everything is supposed to go completely wrong. Everything is supposed to just break right in front of you. And you think in that moment, why is it happening? And why is it happening so apparently in my face when I least expect it? That's one big sign. It's one big sign that it's like essentially a test. And I don't know if you guys are religious or not. That's out of the equation for this video. It's a sign that's trying to test you. Are you going to stay strong or are you going to give up? And this is something that will happen no matter what. This is not necessarily a business example. This is going to happen in your real life too. The moment that God wants to break you is at the moments where you really can't use it. It's the worst timing to get fucked up. And I know that you guys all watching will probably resonate with this. You'll probably have a story on yourself where you felt like on the most unlucky timing, you get just fucked. You get just all this shit thrown into your face when you least need it. And then when you're dealing with the first problem, there's a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth problem piling up all onto you, designed to break you. And I'm just here to tell you, in my experience, over and over and over again, you will get shit when you least need it. When you feel like you're already at sort of rock bottom, God will push you further and further and further down. And the reason why he does this is because that's the only point where you can actually become exponentially stronger. Okay, when you're on the way up, of course, you'll feel pain, but the pain is different. The pain is mixed with excitement, a lot of positive energy, and you can only experience very high highs when you had very low lows. And don't just take that from me. Look at the people that got everything that you want, and look at their stories. You'll find that they went through the absolute mud to get there. They went through absolute shit, to hell holes to get there, right? And that's the balance of this all. Your high can only be as high as the depth of your low. So if you're watching this right now and you're going through shit, you feel alone, you feel fucked up, you don't know what to do, understand that that is exactly where your power lays. You just need to adapt. You just need to sit there and take the right action. Move a step forward and don't stay stagnant. Take it from me. I've had in 10 days more shit happen to me than a full year, like in terms of things going wrong, and the only thing that kept me afloat was constantly being in the mindset of adaptation. Just go. Just take that next step. Okay, this doesn't work, doesn't matter. We lose this fucking SIM card with hundreds of videos on there, thousands of dollars spent, doesn't matter. We still got one day. We still got one day. And I'm not gonna let this last day go to waste just because everybody feels defeated. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep taking this next step, and I'm gonna motivate the rest to come with me. That's the key takeaway of this video. I hope you enjoyed. See you guys soon. Peace.